So the hook is too close to the breech face. So I need to move that hook further away. And there's a couple ways we can do that. Although I will note, the top of the bolt has some wear marks, but the top of the extractor is polished or has been dragging on the inside top of the receiver. This doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to put the whole gun together. I don't think I'm going to do anything with this till I go shoot it.
Hi, and welcome to Over the Gunsmith's Shoulder. I'm Gene Kelly, president of the American Gunsmithing Institute, and in this segment, Master Gunsmith Ken Brooks is going to walk you step by step through a gunsmithing repair. You're going to learn a lot. And if you'd like to learn to be a certified professional gunsmith, then go to AmericanGunsmithingInstitute.com and request an information package. Now let's learn from Ken.
Okay, welcome back to my shop. Looking over my shoulder again. So this one is obviously a Marlin 39A. I am a fan. I like these guns. Nice, solid, rugged 22s. Usually can be rebuilt without too much difficulty, usually, because they're made out of metal. Good guns. I am a fan. So this specific one is in the shop for fails to extract fired cases. So, without even looking at it, I'm going to wager that it's a bad extractor and a bad chamber. And the reason I say that is, extractors are always wrong. You know, we know that. You know that. So, you know, probably the extractor, it's either broken, missing, or just doesn't fit like it's supposed to, which is the most common. And then it's a 22. So the edge of the chambers get dinged, get screwed up, and then there you are. You got a shell goes in, expands, and has a ding or a gouge, and just no matter what, that extractor won't pull it out. Extractor slips off the rim. So what's nice about these, one thing that's nice about these is they are a takedown. And I can see it's got all kinds of crap in it. Let me take my glasses off here. So I don't have a paper towel handy, so I will get an old nasty rag just to wipe out some of this crud. Look at that. So I know that a lot of students, a lot of guys doing this, they clean every gun that comes in the shop. I don't have time to do that at all. And I hate cleaning oils. I will clean the parts that need to be cleaned for me to do the job that the gun's here for, but I won't clean a gun just to clean a gun. If the customer asks for a cleaning oil, then so be it, but I'm not going to clean it just to clean it. So we know it fails to extract a fired round. I'm going to put the bolt over here real quick and look at our chamber. And I'm not seeing any big gouges or scratches. Looks like it might be a little corroded. Yeah, that one's got a big dent in it. We won't use that one. I want to find a shell that doesn't have a big dent in it and no firing pin hole hit. So a lot of times I'll use shells that didn't quite go off. And let's see how that fits inside the chamber. Oh, whoa, it just slides in. Look at that. Doesn't quite fall out, but it will if you just give it a little thump. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to polish it, but again, because there could be enough corrosion in there to where a fired case does stick. So I will polish that chamber. That's one thing that's going on. And I will probably, oh. So here's our extractor. I need a pointer. So this is the newer style stamped sheet metal. Long leg here, this gives it its tension. Comes up here, and here's our hook. Our hook is really close to our breech face. So if I shove this down in here, the claw of the extractor didn't snap over the rim. It's just pushing the rim against the rim over against this side of the breech face. So the hook is too close to the breech face. So I need to move that hook further away. And there's a couple ways we can do that. I can straighten this a little bit. That'll extend it out. I could try to bend this out, but I don't like doing that on a sharp bend like that on stamped sheet metal. It can break. I can also take and just file off the hook itself. So I'm going to get this out of here first and see what kind of tension I've got on it. So see, this is one of the things where I will clean the extractor. I will clean underneath. See that? I'll wipe this off because this is the part I'm going to be working on. Squirt some oil on something. Use an old oily toothbrush. Clean off the big chunks anyway. So the quickest and easiest fix would be to file this guy. That's got a bunch of crud on it. What is going on with that? Is that just carbon buildup? Talking to myself. When you work by yourself, you start talking to yourself. I usually don't answer myself. I was told that that's a sign of a deranged person. Well, again, I got the big chunks off. I am going to clean this out real quick. Not that you guys need to see me clean these parts, but the parts that need to be clean, I will clean them. Wipe them off. Throw that away. Okay, that's cleaned enough. So the easiest way is to just go in and undercut that and move it away. But I'm almost thinking that I might want to try and well, I was going to say I'm going to try and straighten it, but I don't think I am. More likely to break. So this gun's been used. This was working. Why did it all of a sudden stop? So I want to examine the area right here to make sure there's no cracks. So I have a small magnifying glass. So I am not seeing any cracks or scratches. And honestly, I couldn't tell you why all of a sudden that quit working. Although I will note the top of the bolt has some wear marks, but the top of the extractor is polished or has been dragging on the inside top of the receiver. Quite a little bit. This might even be a replacement part. All right, well, I am going to go to the vise and start working on this claw just a little bit. And since we're going to have to reset up the camera a little bit over at the vise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, alter this. I'm also going to go ahead and polish that chamber. So I'll have all this stuff over there when the next time you see me. All right, so I have the extractor in the vise here, obviously, and here's the hook. And I need to move the hook away from the breech face. So I'm going to come in with my file like so. Again, undercutting it to keep it positive because it needs to dig into the rim. I keep a little bit of 400 sandpaper here as well to polish that top side. And this underside. And now, of course, I got to try it in the bolt. We'll check that in a minute. All right, so before we put the extractor in the bolt, since I have the barreled action front part right here and my Fordham tool with a mandrel and some sandpaper wrapped around it, you can see it's discolored from use in polishing chambers. I know my fingers and such are in the way, like so. It's all the further I can really do, guys. But I'm going to run that down in and out, back and forth a little bit. Polish it up that chamber, pull that out. Now, one thing I didn't show you was I did compress the ejector, rotate the screw a little bit to keep the ejector held inside its housing, out of the way, so my mandrel and sandpaper could come up into the chamber. And then you'll note that there's all kinds of this crud. And I left it there because after I did that polishing, there's going to be a certain amount of dust and crud here that I'm going to have to brush out anyway. And that carbon and stuff is going to get brushed out at this point. And a lot of that fine sanding powder will stick to it. Anyhow, I'll do a little bit better when we get back to the bench. Let's head over there. Okay, so now I use a dental pick to pick out some of the bigger chunks of crud and knock out some of them. And I just noticed, I believe this is missing the cartridge guide spring that's supposed to sit up here in the top. Look at that, big chunks of gunk. Good guns will work when they're dirty, in my opinion. So I don't even need to do a super clean and oil on this. Like I said, I do have good clean Q-tips. Don't want you thinking I don't. If I don't use them completely to where they're ruined, I lay them off to the side. I'll use these to remove glass bedding and do things of that nature from time to time. So now, we had one shell before. There's a bad shell again. Oh, here's the one we used. And it goes right up in, pops right out. So at this point, and the chamber looks okay. Chamber looks good. So I'm not worried about the chamber. I don't think that's going to be our problem. So I think we're done with this portion of it, of the gun. So I'm going to undo the ejector. Oh, come on now. There we go. And I'll have to check inventory to see if I've got one of these springs. So that guy's going to want to feed. For whatever reason, this is one place I do like to get the carbon out of, even though I don't need to. All right. Now, back to our extractor. Put it in the gun. Oh, come on. What's going on here? There we go. So the hook is definitely further away from the breech face, but not far enough. It still catches right at the edge, but doesn't snap over fully. So I'm going to repeat that process, what you just saw. You don't need to watch me, so I'll tinker with this and I'll come back in just a minute. Okay, so I've moved the extractor hook away from the breech face. So now I want to be able to hold this so you can see it. as I push that case down onto the breech face, the hook snaps over. Okay, so we know the shell goes on the breech face now, snaps under the extractor. I'm going to try it real quick here. This doesn't always work. Sometimes you got to put the whole gun together, but make sure we go all the way closed right here. And then looks like that's going to work just like it should. Yes. Okay. I don't know if you noticed laying on the counter was the spring that belongs in here as well, and screw. I happen to have in stock. Screw that down for our guide. Since it was missing, we'll do that. Our firing pin. Slide that together. Make sure that our sling isn't too twisted, or we get the right whoop-de-doo here. Okay. And I did brush this off camera while we were got the big chunks out, like I said. All right. Let's put it all back together. Okay. So, keeping it pointed in a good safe direction, we put one shell in the magazine tube. Bring it back. Okay, it wants to catch. So we got some feeding stuff going on. Didn't know about that. They didn't complain about that. So that's something we'll have to look into. And now we get tight right there. It did go closed finally, but it left the shell in the barrel. So something's going on with that extractor catching on. See there, it sort of caught. There we go. So we know the shell basically just falls out. So I don't believe it's the chamber at all. I think our extractor is still giving us some fits somehow. Where'd that shell go? There we are. Okay, we've got a ton of spring out on this. So the extractor hook itself is sprung way over. So what I'm going to go in and do, and you guys will get to watch, is I may even break this extractor right here in front of God and everybody. I'm going to try and bend this back to what is the right side of the gun, because right now extractor rests against this portion of the breech bolt. When the shell's in there, we got a great big old gap. So I'm going to bend that out just a little. And we'll see what we get. All right, so we're going to try and bend this guy. I got little teeny needle nose pliers. Grasp that sucker, and I want to bend just the top back. Now, like I said, this could easily break. I have no idea if that did anything or not. So we got to put it in the bolt and check. Okay, so our extractor still snaps over and holds our case in place. We have a little bit of a gap here, so we have a certain amount of spring out. Going to put the firing pin back in. Slide that guy all the way forward. Open our lever a little bit to get things started. Tighten that up. Feels a little different. So I think what happened is that extractor could spring over so far, it was hitting the edge of the chamber and getting bent. I think that's probably what happened originally. Somehow it either got bent over and then working it through the action caused more problems. It's hard to say exactly what was going on with that one. So I'm going to put 2 rounds in. Cycled closed, extracted and ejected. I think it fed that one. I can't really see. I'm trying to keep my head out of the way so you guys can see on camera. Extracted and ejected again. Now it's not ejecting quite like it should, so I'm going to have to fool with the extractor a little bit yet. But it's starting to work and it's feeding. So my little spring guy that we just replaced and screw here in the top seem to be doing their job. So I want to look at that extractor just a little bit more. Actually, before I take this apart, I want to put one more round through it. And my head is going to be in the way this time because I'm the one that needs to see what's going on, not you guys. That might be exactly what I need. So what I'm trying is an empty cartridge. Yeah, see how that kicked out? The live rounds are kicking out. They're hanging up a little bit on the front and it's not ejecting quite as well, but the empties throws them clear out. So I don't think I'm going to do anything with this till I go shoot it. Then I can see what's going on. I want to make sure that it's going to extract and then see how the ejection is. If it's kicking those empties way out, then I'm not going to worry about it too much. It kicks the live rounds out well enough. But I want to shoot, I want to run a magazine through it to make sure that, again, it extracts, because that's what it's here for, fails to extract with fired cases. And I want to make sure that it ejects them correctly. And then I'll check with some of the live rounds as well to make sure that they eject like they're supposed to. Yeah, so that's that one. And I'll put my glasses back on to say, we'll see you next time.
If you want to learn real gunsmithing and see more videos like this, be sure and like and subscribe so you don't miss out. If you're interested in training to be a real gunsmith, go check out the American Gunsmithing Institute.com. Or for your own firearms training, AmericanGunsmith.com.